Ralph Pincus. My name is Ralph Pincus. I'm acting chair today of the Philadelphia Board of License and Inspections Review. These proceedings today are being transcribed. There's a court reporter, and they're also being video recorded because we're on Zoom. Before we proceed any further, I would like to have the other members of the Board of License and Inspection Review introduce themselves so you will all know who they are. Again, I'm Ralph Pincus, acting chair today.
Steve Pettit, board member.
Roger S. Tennant Senior, board member.
Ken Washington, board member. Cortez Patton, board member.
Very good. And everyone has been muted only because we can avoid any background noise and interference so that the court reporter can hear what people are saying. And because we're on Zoom, and even if we were in the board hearing room, only one person should speak at a time because, again, the proceedings are being recorded and transcribed. And if two people speak, you can't understand what they're saying. So remember that it's one person at a time should speak. The first matter of business is for the city to, Mr. Wade, did you introduce yourself?
Wade, board administrator.
Very good. And our counsel.
Hillary Emerson, board counsel.
I think that covers all of the administrative people. For the city, who will be the spokesperson regarding all the cases that are listed today and their status?
Good afternoon, Acting Chairman Will Fernandez for the City of Philadelphia. I will be reading out the moot cases through case number 32 on the list, and then I will turn over the microphone to my colleague, Ms. Reinhardt, who will finish off reading out the moots and other disposed cases.
All right, so what we will do is go through the cases to see which ones can be removed from the hearing list for today. And then there may be some cases where we have issues of counsel being required because the appellant is either a corporation or a limited liability corporation. If you hear your case called, anyone who's on the screen, if you hear your case called and it's indicated that it's moot complied, that means it's over and we won't hear it. If you are confused about any announcement that's made with respect to your case, you can call the number that's listed on your notification for board's administration and ask them to explain what's happened. But once again, your case may have been resolved and you didn't or weren't aware of it, and it will be announced shortly. So Mr. Fernandez, please proceed.
Before Mr. Fernandez, may I just clean up 3 matters?
Yes, sir. Correct.
For case number 52 on the list, hearing appeal number HA 2022-002758. It is listed as 5456 Erdrich Street. The correct address for that appeal is 1426 Palmer Street. David Labar. Case number 53, hearing appeal number HA 2022-002691. It is listed as 5456 Erdrich. The correct address for that property for that appeal is 1825 Diamond Street, Joanna Gonzalez. And finally, case number 54, hearing appeal number HA 2022-002692 is listed as 5456 Erdrich. The correct address for that appeal is 1829 Diamond Street.
Thank you.
Thank you, Acting Chairman.
Excuse me, just real quick.
Yes.
Yes, Mr. Washington.
Number 53 will be 1825 and 54 is 1829.
Yes, correct. For on Diamond Street, both.
Thank you.
Okay, before I get started reading in the individual cases, I'd like to just announce for the purposes of clarity that I will be going through cases 1 through 32 and requesting that they all be marked moot complied. Starting with,
And they all have the first set of appeal numbers is HA 2021. So to make it easy, if you just recite the last 6 numbers, the address and the name, that makes it perhaps a little quicker.
that's a good suggestion. Thank you, Mr. Acting Chairman. Starting with case number 1 on the list, appeal number ending in 002609 with appellant Michael Ingenito. Case is, can be disposed of as moot complied.
You want to put in the address 612 West Sedgley?
Yes, 612 West Sedgley Avenue, as the acting chairman said. Case number 2 on the list, appeal number ending in 002610, address 3549 North 8th Street, appellant Michael Ingenito. That matter is moot complied. Case number 3 on the list, appeal number ending in 002667, address 211 Fitzwater Street, appellant John Ulrich. That matter is moot complied. Case number 4 on the list, appeal number ending in 002754, address 924 Folkrod Street, appellant John Gibson. That matter is moot complied. Case number 5 on the list, appeal number ending in 002817, address 420 North Wilton Street, appellant Michael Clark. That matter is moot complied. Case number 6 on the list, appeal number ending in 002827, address 3625 North 22nd Street, appellant Diane Williams. That matter is moot complied. Case number 7 on the list, appeal ending in 002858. Address listed on my schedule is just Market Street, Philadelphia, appellant Konstantinos Cosmides. That matter is moot complied. Case number 8 on the list, appeal number ending in 002859. Also on my schedule listed as Market Street, Philadelphia address with appellant Widarto Fnu. That matter is moot complied. Case number 9 on the list, appeal number ending in 002864, address given as Market Street, Philadelphia, appellant Rashid Khan. That matter is moot complied. Case number 10 on the list, appeal number ending in 002865, address given as Market Street, Philadelphia, appellant Sana Amin. That matter is moot complied. Case number 11 on the list, appeal number ending in 002877, address 6200 Wayne Avenue, appellant Zachary Silverstein. That matter is moot complied. Case number 12 on the list, appeal number ending in 002882, address 9501 Clark Street, appellant Naziba Khan Quinova. That matter is moot complied. Case number 13 on the list, appeal number ending in 002890, address 1628 South Taney Street, appellant Gina Battagli. That matter is moot complied. Case number 14 on the list, appeal ending in 002892, address 2400 West Oakdale Street, appellant Martin Frazier. That matter is moot complied. Case number 15 on the list, appeal number ending in 002899, address 432 Robbins Street, appellant Marjellin Dawson. That matter is moot complied. Case number 16 on the list, address 656 Leverington Avenue, appellant Julie Odell. That matter is moot complied. Case number 17 on the list, appeal number ending in 002948, address 4000 Carteret Drive, appellant Serhi Deshko. That matter is moot complied. Case number 18 on the list, appeal number ending in 002953, address 2113 East Huntingdon Street, appellant John Ross Jr. That matter is moot complied. Case number 19 on the list, appeal number ending in 002984, address 4683 Adams Avenue, appellant Ramon Santiago. That matter is moot complied. Case number 20 on the list, appeal number ending in 003016, address 518 518 Port Royal Avenue, appellant Edwin Ryu. That matter is moot complied. Case number 21 on the list, appeal number ending in 003031, address 3846 Terrace Street, appellant Zachary Raksa. That matter is moot complied. Case number 22 on the list, appeal ending in 003038, address 4290 North Penn Street, appellant Paul Street Real Estate LLC. That matter is moot complied. Case number 23 on the list, appeal number ending in 003056, address 3562 Janney Street, appellant John Ross Jr. That matter is moot complied. Case number 24 on the list, appeal number ending in 003132, address 811 Corinthian Avenue, appellants John M. and Aaron J. Murdoch. That matter is moot complied. Case number 25 on the list, appeal number ending in 003208, address 3020 Ruth Street, appellant New Kensington Community Development Corporation. That matter is moot complied. Case number 26 on the list, appeal number ending in 003217, address 3116 Englewood Street, appellant David Lynn. That matter is moot complied. Case number 27 on the list, appeal number ending in 003234, address 1101 West Wyoming Avenue, appellant Mark Gilbert. That matter is moot complied. Case 28 on the list, appeal number ending in 003371, address 3163 Frankfurt Avenue, appellant John Ross Jr. That matter is moot complied. Case number 29 on the list, appeal number ending in 003378, address 536 West Fisher Avenue, appellant Lisa Myers. That matter is moot complied. Case number 30 on the list, appeal number ending in 003433, address 1615 South 20th Street, appellant Claire Laver. That matter is moot complied. Case number 31 on the list, appeal number ending in 003480, address 4920 Mulberry Street, appellant Nathaniel Lewis. That matter is moot complied. Case number 32 on the list, appeal number ending in 003548, address 3111 Frankfurt Avenue, appellant Frankfurt Avenue Redevelopment Company, care of John Ross Jr. That matter is moot complied. Finally, I do have one additional one. Case number 49 on the list, appeal number ending in 2861, address 2000 East Orleans Street, appellant Aura J. Ramos. That matter is moot. They have obtained their tobacco permit for 2023. And so the hearing is not necessary. However, I'd prefer it be marked moot rather than moot complied.
Excuse me, could you reread that one for me?
Yes, it's case number 49 on the list, appeal number ending in 002861. Address is 2000 East Orleans Street, and the appellant is Aura J. Ramos.
Okay, you're right, I got it, thank you. And that's marked moot,
That is moot, yes, thank you.
thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Fernandez. If anyone is on the hearing, is here as a participant and heard their case called by number, street address, or name, that the recitation that Mr. Fernandez went through is the fact that the city has marked these cases as moot, has complied, and there's no reason to hear your case. If you don't understand or you have a question, please call the Board of License and Inspection Review Office of Administration. The number is on your notification if you have a question. Otherwise, we will now proceed with Ms. Reinhardt, I believe, correct?
Mr. Chair, Mr. Chair, just one, Mr. Fernandez, do you have number 44?
I was just going to address number 44.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to start higher on the list, though, just to try to keep things in order, if you don't mind.
Please.
Okay. Beginning with number 33 on the list, this is appeal number HA 2023-000118. address 1625 West Thompson Street, appellant Grosso Concrete LLC. We would like to mark this as withdrawn by the department, meaning the underlying violation has been withdrawn.
Okay. We will note that it's being withdrawn.
For number 38, appeal number HA 2023-000433, address 8051 Morrow Street. Appellant Deborah Oristaglio. This is settled by agreement that was forwarded to the board approximately 2 hours ago. So
Can you read that to us and we'll put it on the record at this time?
sure, I can represent that the parties agreed to to affirm the violation and impose a $500 statutory fine.
Okay, why don't we vote on that right now as we go through the list? Is that okay? And I will vote city affirmed per agreement with a fine of $500.
City firm per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with the $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement, $500 fine.
Very good, thank you.
Next is number 44 on the list, appeal number HA 2023-000983, address 228 North 63rd Street, appellant BSD Construction LLC. This is moot.
Okay,
And that concludes my list.
oh, okay, well, we have several that have been listed or noted as continued and several that would appear notwithstanding, well, either on the record.
Mr.
they
Chair, you
have-
have Mr. Johnson. Mr. Johnson has some cases.
Okay. I'm sorry, Mr. Johnson. I didn't realize you were also a spokesperson. Please proceed.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a few matters that I would like to go through that I have preliminary issues and resolutions. First, for number 35 on the list, HA 2023-000182, Franjo Construction Corporation. We're working on a tentative agreement to settle this. And with that, I expect it to be resolved within this week, but would ask that it be relisted at the next available listing time to allow us to negotiate the settlement.
So that's 4240 Chestnut Street?
Correct.
And does the, I assume there's counsel because it's an LLC.
I don't believe any counsel has entered in the case. I've been working with the leadership at the corporation.
Well, all right, I guess if it's resolved, then we won't have to ask or get to that question at a hearing. So in the meantime, you're asking that it be continued and the
Correct.
appellant doesn't have any objection either, as far as you know?
Correct.
All right, so we'll mark the case continued. That's case number HA 2023-000182 4240 Chestnut Street, Franjo, Franjo Construction Corporation, continued.
Mr. Chair, this is Hillary. Can we just make sure nobody's here for that case?
Is anyone present for the case that I just announced? No one's present. We'll mark it continued.
Okay, for number 37 on the list, HA 2023-000418 for 24 South 18th Street, Tao Yun Woodlofts LLC. We have an agreement that I submitted to the board this morning resolving that appeal, whereby the violations are affirmed and the city had reduced the fine to a total of $2,000.
Very good. We may as well dispose of that. I did see that the agreement came in. And is there someone here representing the appellant, or is that the agreement speaks for itself?
The agreement speaks for itself.
Very good. Then I'll start the vote. City affirmed. This is case number HA 2023. Just a second. It's not 23. Case number 37. HA 2023-000418, 24 South 8th Street, 18th Street. The appellant is Tao Yun, doing business as Woodlofts LLC. City affirmed by agreement a fine of $2,000.
City affirmed per the agreement with a fine of $2,000.
City affirmed per the agreement with a fine of $2,000.
City affirmed per agreement with a fine $2,000.
City affirmed per agreement, $2,000 fine.
Thank you. Next
Okay,
matter,
so
Mr.
Next
Mr.
matter
Jones.
is number 52. This is HA-2022-002758. David Labar. And the address on the list is 5456 Erdrich Street. I don't believe that that's an accurate address, but
It was corrected. Maybe you
Yeah.
weren't on.
yeah, no, I was on.
Okay,
Anyway, we have that as agreed to be settled as well. It's going to be city affirmed with a $500 fine.
is anyone on the in the proceedings here present from the address is 4626 Palmer Street, HA 2022-002758. David Labar, is anyone present for that property?
I don't believe anyone appeared, but I will represent that that is the agreement, city firm with $500 fine, and I'll be submitting the signed agreement to the board.
Okay.
Chair, Mr. Chair, I just want to be clear on this one. Didn't we also change the appellant's name
Well,
besides the address?
on this, we changed the address. We have a note in our, from our prior meeting that the appellant is an LLC, but if the city has settled it by an agreement, we don't need to raise the issue of whether or not the appellant's an LLC.
Okay, thank you.
So having heard from the city, and there's no one here to oppose, and the city's representing, there's an agreement. My vote is city affirmed with a $500 fine per agreement.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement of a fine of $500.
City affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement, $500 fine.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
And one last preliminary matter I'd like to address. It's case number 39 on the list, HA 2023 -000700 Ori Fibush.
Mhm.
This one is 1234 Market Street on the list. I think the actual address is, hold on.
The address, Mr.
1935
Johnson,
Christian Street.
the
Pardon me?
address on my list is 1936 1935
Five
Christian
or
Street.
1935 Christian Street. The city is going to ask that this be quashed because it was untimely filed. The board does not have subject matter jurisdiction since the appeal was not filed within 30 days. According to the records, the date of the notice was April 9th, 2021. The appeal was not received by the board until February 7th, 2023.
Well, we have a note to that effect. Is there anyone here for HA 2023-000700?
Yes, Sean Whalen here from Vintage Law on behalf of OCF Construction LLC.
Well, then, if you're here, let's go, we'll go through the list, and when we get to your case, we'll act upon the request of the city. Okay?
And certainly, we certainly oppose, and I'm happy to discuss that at that time. Thank you.
All right, very good. Anything else? Because I have a couple that are noted continued on my list, Mr. Johnson.
I have nothing else at this time.
Anyone else from the city?
Yes, Acting Chairman Pincus, Alexandra Athanasiadis on behalf of the city. I could direct your attention to case number 46 on the list. HA-2023-001080, 642 Marlin Road. Appellant Todd Foreman. That matter is moot.
Okay, we'll note it as moot.
Case number 47 on the list, HA-2023-001130, address 2853 Germantown Avenue. Appellant Patricia Dockery, doing business as St. John Memorial Baptist. That matter is moot complied.
Fine, we'll mark that moot complied.
And case number 48 on the list, HA-2023-001212, 6703 Lebanon Avenue, appellant Helen Blackson. That matter is also to be marked moot.
Very good, thank you.
And that completes my portion of the list.
Very good. I just want to make sure there's that I don't, was case number 46 read into the record by someone from the city as moot complied?
No, I just read it on the record, Acting Chair Pincus.
I'm 45 on North 2240 North Franklin Street.
I believe, I heard you say 46. I apologize. There, I have nothing.
I have a note and I don't recall, was that read off by either Mr. Johnson or Mr. Fernandez?
It was not. I'm going to be handling that case for the city.
Oh, okay, so it's not moot complied?
It is not.
Oh, okay. I have a note of several cases that are noted as continued that I don't recall having been read, but maybe I would like to confirm that. One of them is, I guess, case 4240 Chestnut Street. We did hear that there was a request to continue that case. Is that correct? Did I hear from
Good afternoon, Board. Caroline Curley on behalf of the city. I do not believe that matters 42 and 43 have been addressed yet.
Correct. And is that my notes say there's a request for continuance, or is the city in agreement to continue
Correct.
these?
That is a joint request on behalf of myself and appellant's attorney, Mr. Dennenberg. Mr. Dennenberg is unable to attend today, but he did ask me to convey that the next date be sometime in September, which the city does not object to.
This is case number 42, HA 2023 000980 228 North 63rd Street, BSD Construction LLC, continued. David Dennenberg is the counsel. And the next case is number 43, HA 2023 000982 513 North 63rd Street. The appellant is BBD Construction LLC. Again, David Dennenberg is the attorney, and there's a mutual agreement to continue both of these cases. Is that correct?
Correct. Thank you.
Just
Okay.
a little correction there. That will be B as in Bob, S Sam, D David.
BSD,
Construction.
correct. B as in Bob, S as in Sam, D as in David. I'm sorry if I misread the letters.
Mr. Chair, I had a quick question because I had 42 marked as moot, that Ms. Reinhardt read into the record, but I may have confused that with another one.
That's number 44, I believe.
Okay,
This is it. 44 is
Thank
the
you.
one that is moot.
okay.
The other
thank
case,
you.
I just want to confirm the case number 35, Franjo Construction Corporation. There's a mutual agreement to continue that case. Was that read in by someone from the city?
Yes, that was read in by me, Christopher Johnson.
Okay, very good. So then we have a couple of questions about cases. Perhaps Ms. Emerson can call attention to case number 34. That 34 is HA 2023-00161, 2439 Cecil B. Moore Avenue. The appellant is Glad Bergeron, doing business as HD Builders LLC. Is there someone here representing the appellant?
Representing as in an attorney, no, but we are here for HD Builders.
Well, is HD Builders a limited liability corporation?
It's an LLC and the Gilad Bergeron is on call as well.
Well, if you read carefully your violation notice, at the bottom of it, it states that if you are a corporate or a business entity, you are required to have counsel represent you at the hearing. Is there someone here from the city on this matter?
Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. Gilad is he's a limited liability LLC.
Well, as a consequence, if you don't have an attorney, in order for this board to hear the matter, you will have to have an attorney represent you, and we at the present time cannot hear it. So we're going to have to continue your case to another day.
Okay.
All right,
Okay,
Mr.
that's
Johnson?
fine.
Okay, do you understand? You're required to have an attorney represent you if you want to be heard by the board.
Okay, no
So-
problem. Can we
All right,
reschedule the next hearing?
Well, the board will get back to you. The administrative office will get back to you with regard to a new hearing date. Case number 34 HA 2023-000-161, 2439 Cecil B. Moore Avenue. The appellant is HD Builders LLC. We'll mark that continued. And a note that you must obtain and have agreed to obtain legal counsel. Is there the next case? Should I proceed? I'll proceed unless there's an issue here. The next
Can I
case I
direct-
list.
Sorry. Can I direct your attention to case number HA 2023-001241?
Who's speaking?
So we are from Community Mini Market Corporation. He does not have an attorney present, so he would like a continuance.
What case? Who is the appellant?
Miguel Nunez from the president of Community Mini Market Corporation.
Just a moment.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman, or Mr. Acting Chairman. It's number 50 on the list. Community Mini Markets.
Number 50 on the list. Okay, community, you do not have counsel when you're listed as an LLC, and you are admitting you are an LLC, correct?
This is the owner, Miguel Nunez. He told me it's a corporation, sir.
Okay, very good. Is there someone here from the city on this case?
Yes, good afternoon. Will Fernandez representing the city in this matter.
All right, the case number is HA 2023-001-241, 5456 Erdrich Street, Community Markets. It's an LLC. There's no counsel present. We'll continue the case. Is that agreeable, Mr. Fernandez?
It is.
All right, so
Mr. Chair.
please understand that for the next hearing, you must be represented by legal counsel. Okay,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Nunez?
Yes, sir.
Chair,
Very good. Thank you.
Ms. Emerson, I think this is one Ms. Emerson spoke about, that it was a late filing. Am I right, Ms. Emerson?
Yes, this one was a late filing. The notice was dated 1/9/23. The appeal was filed 3/17/23.
When we want to address that matter as well and to see what
I
the feels
I
about
think
that.
it's an issue that I think if there's counsels required, I think the council should discuss that. And if it doesn't get resolved, then when it's listed before the board, we can deal with the issue. But when there's counsel, it may well be they resolve the appeal.
That's fine, Mr. Pickens. I just wanted to bring it to the attention that it was
No,
late.
That's fine. That's fine. But I guess it's good that the appellant now has heard that there's an issue on the timeliness of your appeal. It's supposed to be filed within 30 days. You
Yes,
may have
sir.
a reason, for a late appeal, but you should go over that with counsel from the city, or your counsel should go over that.
Sounds
Okay?
good. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Excuse
Pickens.
me, pardon me, Chair, this is the court reporter. Could I
Yes, sir.
have the name of the person who has been speaking? I don't believe it was Mr. Nunez.
So my name
Um,
is Frank Rosario. I am the secretary of the Dominican Grocers Association nonprofit.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chair, this is Hillary. I just wanted to ask, if you know that your case is going to be continued because you need an attorney, please wait till we call on you. Instead of jumping in, we're just trying to keep the cases in order and make sure we know which ones are moving forward and which aren't. So just be patient. We will get to your case if there's a concern that you need an attorney and you may not have one.
And my list, thank you, Ms. Emerson. My list has 2 more cases with issues of a possible LLC. Am I correct? Number 36, HA 2023-000262, 1503 North Front Street. I'm not going to try to pronounce the name. The first name is Leshko, but I'm not going to try to pronounce the second name, but it says doing business as SL Construction LLC. Is there someone here for that appellant? Is there someone present? Case number 36, 1503 North Front Street. Anyone present?
Good afternoon, board members. This is Michael Rulo, RULLO, on behalf of the city.
I don't hear anyone responding from the other side, Mr. Rulo.
Service was made.
Service was made.
In that instance, then we'd be asking that this be marked a city affirmed for failure to appear.
It is 2:14 PM. I have no objection to us proceeding to make a vote at this particular time. City affirmed for lack of appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirm non-appearance.
City affirm, non-appearance.
Very good, thank you. And as I said earlier, it's 2:14 PM to put on the record. I think I have 2 more cases. We have 2 more cases that are LLCs. We've already had counsel speak up for Mr. Frybush for case 39, case 40. HA 2023-000833, 5136 Randstead Street. The appellant is listed as Keith Grimes. Is there anyone present for case number 40, 5136 Randstead Street?
Good afternoon again, board members. This is Michael Rulo. I'm also handling this matter on behalf of the city.
Very good. Again, is anyone here with respect to 5136 Randstead Street? Okay, Mr. Rulo.
Service was made.
And just for the purpose of the record, there's actually 2 cases concerning 5136 Randstead, both 40 and 41. So with 40, as we just announced, I'd be requesting a city affirmed for failure to appear.
Well, I guess let's clarify. First of all, Mr. Wade, in case it wasn't heard, did say service was made. We did get a letter from Rashim Deary asking for a continuance, and I believe that was agreed to by the city.
That's correct. I was about to note that. So there's 2 cases concerning this property. Number 40, the city is going to be requesting city affirmed for failure to appear. And then my understanding is that we now have a continuance on number 41.
Is the appellant aware of this?
Mr. Deary had contacted the board and included myself and indicated that he was having a emergency and would not be able to appear today.
Well, I guess my question or concern is, he may have only put down the one case number, but may have requested it with respect to both. And I don't want to deprive him of an opportunity to be heard. I assume they're different issues.
They're different entities so the appellants here are Keith Grimes in number 40 and then Rashim Deary in 41. I have not heard anything from Mr. Grimes.
Okay.
And the underlying, we had an LLC issue here because both of these cases concern violations issued to LLCs, and both of the LLCs are also different.
I see. All right, well, fine. Then in that case, case number HA 2023 000-833 5136 Randstead Street. Keith Grimes, although we believe it's an LLC, I would note for the record that it's 2:18 p.m. and I'm voting city affirmed non-appearance on the part of the appellant.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
City affirmed non-appearance.
Very good, thank you. Are there any other issues with corporate or need for counsel, Ms. Emerson? Just a moment, sir, just a moment.
So, Mr. Chair, could we just read into the record the continuance for number 41? I don't think we put that on the record.
That may be correct. No, I think, all right. Case number 41. HA 2023-000-851 5136 Randstead Street. Rashim Deary, but we believe that's also an LLC, but there was a continuance request received and there's been no objection. Is that correct, Mr. Rulo, on the part of the city?
That's correct.
So we'll note on the record that that case is continued.
And I'm just checking my list to make sure that we didn't, let's see, I have number 45.
Yes, that's correct. That's also listed as a JPL Construction Inc. The city has indicated they're prepared to move forward with that case. It was not. So I guess we should find out, is there counsel here? Case number 45, HA 2023-000-997 2249 North Franklin Street, JPL Construction Inc. Is there someone here for that appellant?
Yes, I'm here.
Are you a lawyer, sir?
No, I'm not. I was not aware that I need a lawyer for this case.
Is the owner of the appellant in this appeal JPL Construction Incorporated? Is that the
Yes,
appellant?
we only found out actually today that we're having a hearing, and we were not aware that we need a lawyer. So, is there anything we can do about it?
Well,
Mr. Chairman, if I may, this is Michelle Reinhardt, acting on behalf of the city for this case.
Yes.
I believe we have an oral agreement in principle that was just reached since this hearing began. I believe we may be able to put it on the record if Mr. Pereira agrees to that.
Yes.
Well, fine. So we'll proceed with if we get, it may well be the first or second case we hear. But if you can wrap it up and when we come back and call the case, or we'll wait till the end, and if you can get an agreement and send it over, that'll be fine.
Michelle,
All right.
do you want to
All
go
right,
to
so-
the breakout room?
Just a moment, someone else is speaking. Who was
I'm
speaking?
sorry, it was me, Mr. Chair. I didn't know if Michelle wanted a breakout room.
I believe there's one other case with JPL Construction that we can also put on the record right now. This is number 55 on the list.
Okay.
Appeal number HA 2023-001212, or I apologize. Appeal number HA 2023-000998. This is regarding 1932 North 6th Street. Again, JPL Construction, Inc. We have an agreement to mark this case city affirmed with a $500 fine.
Has that been forwarded to the board?
I can do that in just a moment.
Is that again the same gentleman that is on the video?
Yes,
Would you identify yourself, please?
yes, Jober Pereira,
Could you spell your name, please?
JOUBARPEREIRA.
Would you say that one more time, please?
Which one, the first name or the last name?
The last name.
PEREIRA.
Kira, Carrera.
Pereira.
Okay, can I ask you to raise your hand and your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony or statements you make today will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right, very good. You are a principal of JPL Construction Incorporated.
Yes,
Okay, and you have agreed with respect to case number 55, HA 2023-000988, 1932 North 6th Street, to a city, to an agreement with the city?
yes.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, I
Yes,
just want
sir.
to be clear.
Yes.
Ms. Reinhardt, did you read off case number 45 first with the city affirmed $500 fine with agree per agreement?
We have a request. We're in the process of making an agreement right now. We just have not exchanged the signatures at this point in time, but the agreement that I just read in was for number 55. It's also with
Okay.
JPL Construction.
City, and that agreement is to have the city affirmed with a $500 fine, is that correct?
Yes,
So in the case that we're speaking of with the last 6 digits, 000998, 1932 North 6th Street, JPL Construction, Inc., my vote is city affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with the $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement, $500 fine.
Thank you very much. We'll be back to you in a few minutes. It appears there'll be one more case, so let's hope you get it agreed upon.
thank you.
Mr. Wade, I think we're now ready to deal with
Case number
the remaining-
39.
Case number 39.
Case number 39, hearing appeal number HA 2023 000700 1936 Christian Street, Uri, Freibusch.
Someone present on case number 39.
Yeah, it's Christopher Johnson for the city of Philadelphia.
And good afternoon, Chair. This is Sean Whalen from Vintage Law here on behalf of Mr. Ori Freibusch. The violation, I would just note, this is sort of the beginning of the story, is not against 1936 Washington Christian Street. It should be against 1935 Christian Street. This is just one of a number of errors I'll point out in a minute. And the license against whom it was issued is OCF Construction LLC. Mr. Freibusch is the owner of that entity, and I'm here representing OCF Construction LLC.
Very good. We can proceed with the city with Mr. Johnson. I guess the first issue is to confirm what is the address of the property that's or the correct address of the property.
I believe it was stated and the city would agree that it's 1935 Christian Street.
Okay. Very good. So we agree that the case with the appeal number HA 2023-000700 is for the address at 1935 Christian Street, correct?
Correct.
And the appellant is or should be OFC LLC.
Should be OCF Construction.
OCF
LLC.
Construction. Okay, very good. All right, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, the city had raised the preliminary issue of the basis for allowing late appeal here. No late appeal request was submitted as far as the city is aware. And it's the burden of the petitioner to show why the board should consider it, being that it was filed well after 30 days of the date of the notice of violation. The notice of violation date being April 9th, 2021, and the board not having stamped in the appeal until February 7th, 2023.
2/7/2023 appeal filed with the board, right?
That's correct.
Is that information correct, Mr. Whalen?
I guess sort of. I would
Well,
argue.
it either, I'm sorry, it seems to me, I mean, we want to start out on the same footing. The city's records say that the violation notice was issued on April 9th, 2021, and the city's records and the appeal, and I'm trying to just look it up as we speak, was filed on February the 7th, 2023. Is that information correct?
I guess I would have to say, Chair, I do not know. The first
Okay.
knowledge that we have of this case was from a letter from Mr. Will Fernandez served on us on January 25th, 2023. That's why the appeal was actually the date of violation in the appeal itself, which I can pull up if the chairman would like, states the date of violation as 1/25/23. The violation was then appealed within 7 business days on February 6th, 2023. So the appeal is dated February 6th, 2023. It was accepted as timely by board administration and stamped on February 7, 2023. And at that time, given case number HA 2023-000700.
So what you're contending is that I'm just trying to screen, if you'll give me a moment, I want to find my record of this appeal. So give me a moment, please.
But of course, and Chairman, I do have the notice of appeal up that I can show to you if I'm allowed to share my screen or if you would want me to do so.
Well, I guess the city has exhibits to provide us with as well. Just give me one moment, please, while I try to find this. I'm almost there. All right, 1935, I have the appeal. And I do have a copy of a violation notice dated 4/9/2021. But it was addressed, property, the violation observed was, I guess it's 1935, so it does have the correct address. But you're contending that violation notice that's which was filed with an appeal dated February 7th, 2022, was not received?
Correct, Chair. I'm happy to go into the details as to why, if you would like the burden to shift to me at this point. This is sort of a cascade of errors.
As a matter of law, the burden is on the petitioner to show that there was either a breakdown of the administrative or judicial process in order to justify hearing an appeal nunc-pro-tunc.
I understand. I agree. Customarily, the appeal has to, not customarily, legally, it has to be filed within 30 days. I mean, I guess the first stage is why should we accept an appeal that would appear to be almost 2 years late?
I'm happy to go into that, Chairman, if you would like at this time.
Well, I believe you have to, and then we can decide whether we'll hear your appeal or not. Do you have any objection, Mr. Johnson, to us hearing why they believe their appeal was timely?
No objection.
Go ahead, Mr. Whalen.
Thank you very much. So Chairman, this is sort of a cascade of errors here. You will note that this case was marked, the violations here are marked complied balance due by the, well, that's what I was explained to me by board administration this morning and earlier this week.
Well, so before you proceed, where am I noting that? Do you have an exhibit that says that? Where do you say complied?
Yes,
I don't
it's
see-
saying I can't share my screen.
Well, that's an issue. Mr. Wade, are you able to enable him to share his screen?
I believe he should have permission. Just give me 1 second. All participants can share. He should be able to share.
All right, I'll try again right now. Okay, can the board now see I have up the notice of appeal?
Yes, I have it. We have it. We see it.
Okay, terrific. So what you can see here is, again, where I was stating date of violation is 1/25/23. The date the appeal was submitted to Blur was on the 6th of February. It was done so by Ori Feibush. You can see tellingly, which I'll get to in just a second, it was done from Fitler Construction. This notice was actually served against the wrong party, OCF Construction LLC. They were not in charge of this case, and I'll show you there is evidence to that. So here are the 3 violations, and I won't go into the merits of those at the moment because we're going just with the preliminary issues. So here is, let me see if I can, usually works better with a hand. Status states, this is as of the date of the submission of this appeal, complied, balance due. These notices of violation were never served on OCF Construction. They were not the party in control of the property. We first learned of them, and actually I think Mr. Fernandez is still on the call. We first learned of the violations when a letter was served by the city on January 25th, 2023, hence the date on the notice, to Fitler Construction Group LLC. My client had numerous.
I'm going to object. I mean, what's the relevance of a notice to Fitler Construction with regard to OCF and their violation?
I'm glad you asked, Mr. Johnson, because that's my next sentence.
All right, so the objection's overruled.
So you can see here, the very first line is 1935 Christian Street. Now, again, this was served to Fitler Construction Group LLC. They were the party, they should be the proper party for any service of violations. They were the ones in control here. And this is the very first time that anyone at Fitler or OCF learned of these documents. OCF reached out to, you can see it's just 2201 Washington, which is a separate project, states how to pay, total fines due of $38,000, and provides you have the right to appeal this decision to the Board of Licenses and Inspection Review within 30 days of the date of this letter to obtain your administrative hearing. Signed by Mr. Will Fernandez, who again, I believe is on this call if he wants to refute anything I'm stating now. It was upon the receipt of this letter that we first looked into violations against 1935 Christian Street.
And I'm gonna object again, because again, that violation that's listed on the letter you're looking at is for a different violation number than CF 2020-0886644, which is the violation that this appeal addresses. And none of this information goes to showing a breakdown of that would cause the late filing.
Mr. Johnson, again, I'm glad you raised that because
Let Mr. Johnson complete his statement, please.
I would just say that these are arguments that go to the merits of the appeal, not the delay in filing.
All right, I'm gonna overrule your objection, but I'm gonna ask a question. The violation that is attached in our file, violation notice number CF 2020-0886664, which is dated April 9, 2021, which is the one Mr. Johnson is prepared to have us here today, or is contending your appeal on that violation is untimely, is addressed to OCF Construction LLC, which I believe is the name of the party you say you represent, and it was sent to 1936 Washington Avenue, Philadelphia, PA 19146. Is that not an address that that OCF Construction Company exists or does business at, and therefore would not have received this notice? Mr. Whalen?
Chair, that is a correct address for OCF Construction. This notice was never served or received at that time. And my point in bringing up this letter from Fitler Construction is that all of these fines or all of these notices, which do not appear on any city website, there is no record of any of these violations. These violations were, this project went through extensive redevelopment, subdivision, resale. Violations never appeared. They were never shown in any title search. They were never brought up. In fact, I was engaged in a litigation with that involved the city and this property, and the city testified in that matter that there were no violations pending against the property. They had to do that in front of the judge for us to proceed on that case. So what I'm showing you here, and the reason why I'm bringing up this letter.
Mr. Whalen, if you say the city testified in front of, at a hearing, is there someone here that you have either subpoenaed, or is there a representative of the city that can affirm that the first, I guess the issue is we're trying to confirm the timeliness of your appeal with respect to the initial violation.
Correct, Mr. Chairman.
We're not here today to hear an appeal based on the letter that, and apparently you didn't submit that letter. Maybe you did. It appears that you did not attach this letter you're now presenting on your screen with your appeal. I don't know why it says notice to withholding permit issuance due to outstanding fines. That wasn't attached. That wasn't attached to the appeal that's with the board right now.
Mr. Chair, is it possible that I can see that original notice of violation that he had up, the first page he had up? Can I have that? Can I see that?
That's it right there.
Yeah, here's the first page.
I need to see the top.
And that was issued by the Audits and Inspections Unit, which I believe at the time perhaps, and the letter, Mr. Fernandez might have been in charge of at the time. I don't know whether he's still with us.
Because this paper he put up.
I'm gonna object to Mr.
Wait a second, let Mr. Washington finish his comment.
When you look at it, it says April the 9th, 2021. And at the bottom where the stamp is, stop right there. Stop right there. See, it looked like it been changed. It looked like the one's been changed into a 3.
February 7th. Well, it couldn't have been, it may well be the stamp date, but it may well be the stamp was in. This is what the city's corrected. I don't believe that's the city's record of the stamp date on all documents that are in this appeal have a handwritten note with initials on it. Looks like even Mr. Wade's initial, perhaps.
I could speak that that's the initials of the staff member that took that appeal. At that time, maybe the stamp wasn't changed and she corrected it to 2023.
So that appeal was filed in February of 2023, Mr. Washington.
Okay, so, but the notice of appeal, which is at the top of this letter, is, stop right there, April 9th, 2021.
Correct.
With the correct dates and all, so I'm a little confused.
Well, and the counsel for the appellant, OCF Construction, is contending that they never received that notice.
Correct. This notice was never served on us. We actually received this notice, the page you're looking at, and the subsequent pages showing the actual status of these violations only after Mr. Fernandez served this letter with regard to Fitler Construction, which showed a case violation against 1935 Christian Street, which is the proper address that we're talking about today. There was no prior notice of any violations against Christian Street. Christian Street had 9 new townhomes developed and sold. There was never a violation that came up in any of the property searches, any of the home sales, nothing. And what I'm saying, and the reason why the reason why we appealed at the time that we did was because we received this letter. And it was only upon receipt of this letter that we dug into 1935 Christian Street and 2201 separately. That'll be before the board at another time. And hence, that's why we appealed this violation. For
all right, I hear you. I understand. Let me just ask one question. What the letter in front of us lists case file number CF 2020-08, don't move it, please, 086858 with respect to 1935 Christian Street. That's a different violation number than the one that is attached, which you said you received later from Mr. Fernandez. That's a separate violation. Is that correct?
Yes, it is, Chairman.
And that's
what I'm stating is that when we saw this violation, this was the first violation we saw with regard to this property and the first notice of any violation whatsoever that we had with regard to this property. And so we began to investigate and speak with the city about what was out there and what was pending.
I'm gonna object. Counsel is testifying right now. Are you an officer of the corporation here?
No, I am not. I'm making my argument, and I'm happy to I'm answering to questions brought to me directly by the board chairman. I think it's disrespectful for you to interrupt me.
Well, all right, Mr. Whalen, at this point, I believe I've heard your explanation. I've heard your argument. I believe I understand it. And I'd like to hear from Mr. Johnson. And then when we hear from Mr. Johnson, I'd like to ask that we adjourn for a few moments for the board to confer regarding this issue. But I'd like to hear from Mr. Johnson. I believe you've had ample opportunity to explain the position and the reason why you believe the appeal or an appeal was timely filed.
Chairman, I very much appreciate that, and I agree with you. Based on Mr. Johnson's baseless objection,
well,
I would simply request.
I think at this point, I'm gonna ask you to let Mr. Johnson speak. Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, I have to press this point. If the city is going to object here and question the record that I've created, I would simply ask that I be able to bring on my witness who can actually testify to all of these points.
Made by counsel are not evidence of record.
All right. At this point, I'd like to hear from Mr. Johnson, and then and then we'll decide whether you have a witness regarding the reason for the untimeliness of the allegation of the untimeliness of your appeal. You have a witness with respect to this?
Yes, I do. Mr. Ori Feibush is I believe already inside the hearing and can testify to everything that I've just presented.
Very good. Well, if that's the testimony, he will confirm the statements you've made. Let's hear from Mr. Johnson first, okay?
And
well, wait, as a matter of fact, let's have Mr. Freibush, if in fact, just for the purposes of having him confirm the statements you've made, let's put Mr. Freibush Freibush on the is he here? Can he confirm that he's present?
Yeah. And Chairman, just to be clear, would you like me to walk Mr. Freibush through the testimony, or is it acceptable to the board to have him adopt my testimony as his own?
Since you've acknowledged you've given testimony, and I hear Mr. Johnson's objection that you've been testifying, but this is to the issue of the timeliness. I think at this point, in order not to prolong things much longer, let's just ask him to confirm everything you've said. And then I'd like to hear from Mr. Johnson. Is that okay, Mr. Johnson?
That's fine.
Thank you. Where's Mr. Freibush? Are you here, sir? I
He
do
was on
not
at the
hear.
start of the hearing.
Well, all right, so he
Oh.
doesn't appear.
He said he's muted and can't unmute.
What is, where is he? I'm looking on my screen. Oh, I see. Oh, there it is. Can we see you, Mr. Freibush?
Can you hear me, folks?
We can hear you, but we can't see you.
Tremendous. No, I've got the phone to my ear here, so I'm more clear because I'm driving.
Are you
across country
able-
here, so help me.
Are you able to make yourself visible on the screen?
I can, yes, sir.
Would you do that, please?
And if I make myself visible, I'm not going to be able to hear you well, but I will make myself visible for your request.
Can you hear me now?
I can only hear you if I don't make myself visible. Forgive me.
Well, all right, let's go back and forth. I'd like you to just state your
Mr.
name.
Chair, if I may, is
Yes.
Mr. Freibush driving the vehicle or sitting in the vehicle?
Can you answer that question, Mr.?
Yes, I'm driving the vehicle and doing so safely
Well, we-
here. I'm
we
happy to
can't-
pull over if you require.
Well, we won't proceed. We won't hear from you unless your vehicle's parked and it's in a safe position.
Okay, I'm pulling over as we speak here. All right, take me just 60 seconds here. I appreciate the board's patience.
For the record, we're waiting for Mr. Freibush to pull his car over so that he's in a
I wish it was
stationary, safe place.
I wish there was a car, Mr. Chairman. I am pulling over as we speak.
Some point I'm going to say it's been unreasonable. We've given you ample opportunity to pull your car over and we're going to proceed.
I appreciate that. I'm not driving a car. I'm driving a very large truck, and I am pulling over into a rest stop. I just could not pull over where I was there. There wasn't enough room on the road. But I am pulling over as we spoke. All right. I am pulled over, Mr. Chairman.
Very good. Can you hear me?
I put you on speaker so that I can hear you
Okay.
as well.
All right, very good. Mr. Freibush, what I'd like you to do is put yourself back on the camera, raise your right hand. identify yourself with your name. You said Ori Feibush, is that correct?
Yes, sir. It was mispronounced earlier, but Feibush, F as in Frank, Eibush.
Do you swear or affirm that any statements you give today will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Yes, sir.
All right, Mr. Whalen, would you ask, for purposes of the issue that we have before us, would you please ask your client to confirm what you have presented to this board?
Certainly, Chairman. Mr. Feibush, you are here on behalf of OCF Construction LLC today, correct?
Yes, sir.
And did you hear all of the testimony that was already presented in this matter?
I did. Yes.
And do you believe it to be true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief?
I do.
And would you adopt it as your own?
I do.
And do you believe that there's anything else pertinent only to the timing of the appeal filing issue that I have left out that the board chairman should hear?
Only that I check Atlas every week for every project that my office is involved with to avoid potential instances like this here. And inclusive of today, there has never been a violation posted here. I actively look for opportunities where something might be errantly placed on one of our properties. And to this day, that has never happened here. There has not been a violation. I certainly affirm that I was in court with you under oath and can confirm that the city also confirmed there are no violations and testified affirmatively.
To that hearsay.
Objection sustained. Okay, you've answered his questions, Mr. Feibush.
Thank you, Mr. Feibush. And just for the record, Mr. Chairman, I would simply, just because it's a matter of public record, the litigation we are describing is WHACK, WHACK v. City of Philadelphia et al. And it is Philadelphia Court of Common Pleas 2007013335. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I cross-examine the witness on the testimony that's been given?
I was hoping we would just be able to approach if this relates to the issue of the timeliness of the
Yes,
appeal.
It relates. So, Mr. Whalen brought in information regarding Fittler Construction. Are you the owner of that company as well as OCF?
I'm the sole owner of OCF Construction. I am a owner of Fittler Construction, but not the sole owner.
And the business address of both of those businesses is 1936 Washington Avenue. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
About how many businesses are you involved with for which that is the business address?
Probably 100.
So that are those all construction businesses?
No, sir.
Okay. But as the business address for over 100 businesses, you receive a lot of mail at that place, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No further question.
All right, thank you. You don't have any further redirect, do you, Mr. Whalen?
No, I don't have any further redirect, Your Honor.
All right, very good. Mr. Johnson.
Well,
Arguments. Go ahead.
The city's position here is that when the inspection happened back in early 2021, it wrote violation notices that went out and were served upon the business by mail in the normal course of the city's business. And that includes both the notice that went to 1936 Washington for Fittler Construction and the notice that went out for OCF. And I have a witness that is prepared to testify to that, Jose Figueredo, who's a member of the AIU unit at the Department of Licenses and Inspections. But I would offer that testimony or make an offer of proof that he would testify that these were served upon the businesses in the normal course of business and just like every other notice.
Very good.
Mr. Chairman, I would appreciate that being put on the record.
Well,
as I was forced to put my client on the record, I believe the city should have to put its client on the record and subject to cross-examination.
All right, I guess I can't not allow that to happen. Mr. Johnson, would you call your witness, please?
City is going to call Jose Figueredo.
Mr. Figueredo?
Yes.
Are you present?
Yes, I am.
Can I ask you to raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you will give today will be the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Mr. Figueredo, can you please tell us where you're employed?
The Audits and Investigations Unit
And
for
what is,
licenses and inspections.
what's your position in the unit?
I'm the manager here.
How long have you been with the AIU unit?
With the AI unit, a little bit under a year.
And are you in charge of performing audits and investigations on construction companies?
Yes, I'm responsible for, I have several inspectors that perform audits.
All right. When a violation occurs at a property, what does the AIU unit do typically if it uncovers a violation?
So initially we set up, so we process a case with violations and then notices sent out once those violations are processed.
So if there's a contractor violation, your unit creates a notice of violation, is that right?
That's correct. It actually is generated automatically.
And that would be automatically by what system?
The Eclipse system. And from there, it's sent to the address, the mailing address associated with the responsible party.
Could I have permission to share my screen?
Yes.
I'm going to show you a document that's part of a packet of documents marked city exhibits at page 1. Can you see my screen?
Not yet. Now I do, yes.
And Mr. Figueredo, what's the document that we're looking at page 1?
That's the violation notice.
Which violation notice?
CF 2020 088664 to OCF Construction LLC.
And what was the date of that notice?
April 9th, 2021.
And is it your testimony that because of the Eclipse system, this was automatically mailed out by the system to OCF Construction at 1936 Washington Avenue on or about April 9th, 2021?
That's correct.
I'm going to stop sharing that document. I'm going to share one more document. That one. Sorry. All right, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
What is the document we're looking at?
This is also a violation notice, CF 2020 086858.
And was this a notice of violation that went out to Fitler Construction Group LLC?
Yes.
And what was the address?
1936 Washington Avenue,
And what was the date of the notice?
April 9th, 2021.
And is it your testimony that this went out automatically by the Eclipse system on that date?
Yes.
I'm going to offer this as exhibit 2, and I would offer the rest of the exhibit as exhibit C1 at this time.
Accepted.
And I have nothing further from Mr. Figueredo at this time.
Okay.
If I may, I'll try to be as brief as possible.
Go ahead, Mr. Whalen.
Mr. Figueredo, I'm going to limit my cross just as to timeliness of the appeal for the moment. You stated that
That
you.
wasn't the testimony that he was speaking to. The questions that were asked by, you have to address the questions and answers provided in response to Mr. Johnson's questions, Mr. Whalen.
Understood. But I thought that's what I was doing. Mr. Figueredo, you testified that you were with the AIU unit for a little under a year. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Were you with the city prior to that?
Yes.
In what position?
Various positions. I've been a plans examiner and a building inspector.
Okay. Now, are you familiar with whether or not the process of the AIU unit has changed over the last 3 years?
What process are you referring to?
With regard to the process that you discussed of an inspection taking place, a violation being noticed in Eclipse, and then being served immediately.
No change that I'm aware of.
But you wouldn't know prior to your time at AIU, correct?
Well, I'm familiar with the Eclipse system. It's been the same. The Eclipse systems was there right before the pandemic hit.
Right. So when did Eclipse system start?
Literally, it went online the week before the shutdown.
So March 2020?
That's it would be early March.
Okay. And when COVID did hit, the city did enact COVID-related protocols, correct?
That's correct.
I'm going to object.
That did change the process under which the city acted, correct? If you know.
The process that the city acted? What process is that?
Again, I'm going to object. This is not relevant to the notice.
Well, I agree. The objection sustained. Could you move on to another question, Mr. Whalen? We're trying to have your questions relate to the testimony that Mr. Figueredo provided.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Mr. Figueredo, when a inspection goes into, when a violation goes into the Eclipse system, can you describe for me what happens?
So there's multiple steps. An inspector will log when they perform an inspection. They'll enter their findings into the system. A supervisor reviews those. Once everything is approved, then it's processed to the next step where then a notice of violation will get sent out as a result of that.
Okay.
There's a couple other steps in there.
Thank you. And when that violation is sent out, is it also populated to the city's property history and Atlas websites?
I assume it is. I don't know. I don't have anything to do with that.
Would it surprise you to find out that there are no listed violations on the city's Atlas or property history websites for this address?
Would it surprise? I suppose it would.
Would you like me to show you screenshots of those?
I'm going to object again. That doesn't have anything to do with the notices and whether the notices were sent.
Objection sustained.
Chairman, if I may at least respond to the objection before you sustain it. The question goes to process, and the city's entire reliance is that the Eclipse system automatically does all of these functions. And if it automatically sends out the letters, it automatically uploads the documents to the city's official websites. And the city's official websites here, which I'm happy to show Mr. Figueredo, do not show any such violations.
I understand your position on this, Mr. Whalen, but we're dealing with the testimony that there were violation notices that were issued. The copies of the violation notices were presented. We're not here and we haven't heard testimony as to the process and how the system, Eclipse system, works. So I don't intend to hear about that. I understand what you're arguing, that it was not without receiving the written violation and efforts made to look online. And if there's nothing online, if I'm hearing you correctly, and what you're trying to say is you had no way, or your client had no way of being aware of these violations. But the issue is that we're hearing today is whether the violation notice itself was served and an appeal timely filed. And that's what Mr. Figueredo testified to, and that's the questions. And your your examination is with respect to his testimony. Okay?
Understood, thank you. And Mr. Figueredo, last point. I will try to pull it up. Mr. Johnson, do you mind sharing the first exhibit you showed? I don't have it readily available.
I will.
The first exhibit is one that was attached to the actual appeal.
the
Is that
city's
correct?
exhibits.
Correct, Chairman. I just didn't want to waste your time while I looked for it on my.
Well, we have it. We all have it. We've seen it. So
Okay, hold on, here it is.
Okay, so Mr. Figueredo, you testified just now with regard to when the inspector logs a violation into the system, and that's when this notice goes out, correct?
Might go out the very next day, but generally, yeah, that's the process.
Understood. And does that happen just once, or are there multiple instances of violations?
I'm not sure I'm understanding. Are you saying for the same violation to send out multiple notices?
Correct.
It would be one per case typically. And if there's multiple violations, they would be listed on the violation notice.
I'm sorry, not multiple violations. I misdirected you there. This violation that we're looking at, this notice of violation, references, and we don't need to scroll down, it references 3 separate violations. But with respect to timeliness, you testified that the date of the notice, which we can all see, is April 9th, 2021. What I'm asking is you testified that the inspector goes out, notices a violation, then logs it into the system, and that's when this notice of violation is triggered, correct?
Shortly after, there's usually a supervisor review, and then at some point there, it generates the notice once that process is, I guess, for lack of a better term, checked off and completed.
Okay. Now, what I was wondering was, is there any way to tell from this document whether this was the first time, second time, or third time that the inspector saw this and it was logged into the system?
I don't know what you mean by multiple times.
So, Chairman, I want to delve further into this, but I don't know that you're going to consider it with regard to timeliness. Mr. Johnson might agree with me, just as a matter of stipulation, that traditionally what happens is a notice of violation is issued, the property is re-inspected 30 to 45 days later to determine whether that violation still stands. A second notice of violation is issued, and then that happens again for the third time. And the third time is your final notice of violation. And I'm simply asking.
Yeah, no, I don't think that's correct for AIU violation.
Yeah, that's not the process.
And that hasn't been testified to, that process. So I don't think we can hear any further discussion on that point.
Chairman, I'll retract it based on the testimony that Mr. Figueredo just said, that that's not the process that AIU follows.
Very good. Anything further?
In that case, I'm done with Mr. Figueredo. Thank you.
Very good. Mr. Johnson, do you have anything further? You presented a second exhibit, but I don't think you explained why that exhibit was presented.
It was presented to show that the same 2 notices of violation for both Fitler Construction and OCF, the appellant in this case, were sent on the same day. And so notice was given with regard to both of those violations back on April 9th, 2021.
Chairman, I would simply object to anything referencing the second violation. I think the letter that I showed from Mr. Fernandez makes clear that that allowed us 30 days specifically from the date of that letter with regard to that second notice of violation that Mr. Johnson is referencing. And there's no discussion of timeliness with regard to that matter.
All right, I hear you, Mr. Whalen. Anything further? I'd like to ask that we adjourn. It is now 3:12. Why don't we adjourn till 3:20 and ask that the board go into executive session? have to do is find, there we go. On the issue, I'll repeat, we are prepared to vote on the issue. I believe the city has asked that the appeal be dismissed as being untimely, and we are prepared to vote on that issue, and because we must determine that it's timely if we're going to hear the substantive appeal. So the first matter is, and it's been argued as to whether or not the appeal was timely filed. The original violation is dated April 9th, 2021, and the appeal was not filed until February 7th, 2023. We heard arguments as to why. Ellen says it was filed in 2023, but at this point, I believe I'd like to ask that the board vote on this, the timeliness of this appeal. And my vote is going to be to dismiss the appeal on the basis that it was not timely filed.
I think that we should dismiss the appeal, go to what it filed on time. You get
I
that
vote
right, Greg?
This appeal for the timeliness of filing.
I recommend that we dismiss this appeal to untimely filing.
And I see Mr. Patton is on the screen. He's muted, but I'm not quite sure whether he is available at this moment. So we have a quorum and we have a majority of the members of the board voting to dismiss the appeal. Okay, Mr. Whalen? It's the determination of the board.
Understood, Chairman. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure. We're ready
May I
to
be
go to.
excused?
Yes, you may. Mr. Wade, the next matter, I believe there's only one left. Is that
Well,
correct?
There was an agreement reached in case number 45. I believe Ms. Reinhardt will be on to read that agreement. It wasn't previously read. Case number 45, hearing appeal number HA 2023-000997, 2249 North Franklin Street. JPL Construction Incorporated.
Excuse me, Mr. Wade. I have city affirm per agreement with a $1,000 fine. That is no longer.
No, I don't believe that was read in.
That was not, that was, I think that you're confusing that case with number 55, where there was a city affirmed in an agreement and a $500 fine. And there was no, this matter was not considered at that time.
Okay, thank you.
There are two matters involving the same appellant. One is
Gotcha.
number 45 and one is number 55. What we have before us now is number 45.
Ms. Reinhardt's on the call to read that into the record, I believe.
Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you. We have an agreement that was forwarded with signatures to the board, but there's an agreement to mark this case city affirmed with $500 statutory fines.
And is Mr. Carissa, if I'm saying it correctly, is he still here with us?
I believe that you are referring to Mr. Jabbar Pereira. I saw him for most of this hearing, but do not see him now.
So he was here and he acknowledged that he was speaking with you and that you were in the process of entering into an agreement, correct?
He did. And also the agreement that I forwarded to the board includes his signature.
Very good. So with respect to case number 45, HA 2023-00, that's 3 zeros, 997 2249 North Franklin Street, JPL Construction, Inc. My vote is a city affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per the agreement with a $500 fine.
City affirmed per agreement with a $500 fine.
Thank you. And again, I think Mr. Patton is not available on this matter, but we have a quorum and it's a majority. Thank you, Ms. Reinhardt.
Thank you.
The last matter for today, case number 51, hearing appeal number HA 2022-001131, 1900 JFK Boulevard, Frank Cottam, Cottam Construction.
Is someone present for that matter?
Yes, Board, Caroline Curley, counsel for the city on this matter.
Charles Peruto, counsel for Mr. Cotter.
Very good. Again, HA 2022-001131, 1900 JFK Boulevard, Frank Cottam, Cottam Construction. Mr. Peruto, your counsel, and Ms. Curley, you're here. Let us hear from the city first.
Yes, Board. This matter concerns a licensing violation notice that was issued to Cottam Construction in February 2022. The appellant appealed the 4 violations within that, but in his notice of appeal, I did just want to highlight for the board to make sure that they understood that in the appellant's appeal, he admits that the guy, quote, I'm reading, guys on the job are subcontractors.
Just a moment. Somebody's rustling something and it's making it very hard to hear what you're saying. All right, let's proceed. If there's rustling noise, then mute yourself so we can hear Ms. Curley. Go ahead. I'm
So I'll
sorry.
just go back. Reading from the appeal, the appellant admits that the guys on the job are subcontractors and did not know that OSHA 10 cards were needed. So essentially, on the basis of the appeal alone, the appellant is admitting that the individuals at the job site were subcontractors and did not have their OSHA 10 cards as required under the Philadelphia Code. So in essence, there's really been no articulable reason why this appeal should be granted on the face of the appeal as it stands. The city is prepared to present its witness today, who will testify to the violations, but just wanted to make sure that was clear for the board.
So your contention is that the appellant in his appeal acknowledges that the violations occurred, and therefore no further determination or testimony needs to be taken?
On its face, there's no reason been set forth that these violations are inaccurate. Correct.
Let me hear from council. I guess as to the city's presentation.
Well, on those counts, I would be happy to forward an admission if we could just settle it for those 2 counts. I tried to settle the case. I've never done one.
I'm sorry, Mr. Peruto, I don't know about our reporter, but I'm having a very difficult time hearing you clearly. Now, I'll admit that I'm a little hard of hearing.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. I just need to hear you clearly.
Okay. The defendant and the corporation admit that the subcontractors did not have their OSHA cards, but he had an OSHA card.
All right, let me again back to the city that the issue is that the question is, are the violations incorrect? And you're contending that they're not correct?
I'm contending that the subcontractors did not have their OSHA cards, and we're not disputing that.
That's what the violation notice reads. So the question is, why should we not affirm the city in this position? Because it says the violations that are attached to the appeal. Subcontractor list needs to be provided prior to the start of work on a commercial permit, and they didn't have their OSHA cards with them. And Piers, you're in behalf of your client, he's admitting that that's true.
Well, it is true that the subcontractors did not have OSHA cards. He inquired further after this violation was presented and written up. But the defendant himself, Mr. Cottam, and the corporation, he has an OSHA card, and he's on the job.
But there were other people on the job who didn't, as it would appear to be the case, and you're
is.
acknowledging that there were other people on the job who didn't have OSHA cards.
He-
I mean, I don't know, do you have a
he-
witness I mean, obviously the city has a witness to present, but I'm not quite sure whether we need to hear the matter further.
On that issue, you do not. I'm not here just to make life difficult for everybody. This was an apartment in an apartment building. He did not believe that on a job this small that everybody needed to have one. So he is guilty on that count.
What is Ms. Carley's recommendation, Mr. Chair?
Based on both the appeal and the representations made by council today, there's no basis for the appeal. And we would ask, just based on these omissions alone and the appeal paperwork, the board can affirm the city's violations.
And I don't have a problem with that. If we're just looking at the amount of the fine for that in such a small job is almost outstanding.
Well, Mr. Peruto, unfortunately, the position of and the job of this board is to determine the validity of the actual violations and not to deal with the fines. The fines are matters that you appeal to the tax review board. They hear issues of whether a fine can be adjusted. We have no authority to adjust the fine. Our only authority is to determine the validity of the violation. And it's, from what I'm hearing, there's no testimony to dispute the violation, the validity of this violation when it was issued.
Not on that violation. There are others, which is why he filed an appeal.
Well, we're only here on this particular violation notice. If there were others, then that they should have been appealed as well.
He
We're
appealed
only here on this.
all violations, and I would present the defendant, Frank Cotto, to testify to that.
Well, I'm just asking which violation, because it's not mentioned in the appeal. And you're admitting that the subcontractor did not have OSHA 10 cards or provide them. So I'm not exactly sure what the basis for the appeal is, since it's not articulated in the appeal. And I would just add that based on administrative law, failing to provide a basis for appeal is grounds for dismissal in itself.
I understand that, but that wasn't the only violation he was given.
Well, I guess, I mean, we're hearing today an appeal. Let me just make sure we're on the record. We're hearing appealed. The appellant's name is Frank Cottom Construction, which is an LLC, I presume.
Yes.
And your counsel for the LLC, that appeal was filed on March the 5th of 2022, and it had attached to it a violation notice. That's date of the notice is 2/18/2022, violation notice CF 2022-008860. And in that reason for the appeal, it says, I believe the violation's incorrect, and I would like the chance to talk, and then it says, talk to someone about them. Guys on the job are subs and did not know OSHA was needed. So, and then your testimony is that or your statements were that in fact, the guys on the jobs did not have the OSHA cards. So that's the only thing that's before us. That's the only violation notice, the one that was attached. There's no reference of other violations, other notices attached. We have one violation, and it's already been acknowledged that this is a valid violation notice.
I understand that when the defendant was advised that he only appealed one of the violations, he went back and amended the appeal. And
are you prepared to present a copy of the amended appeal? Has the city seen it?
Through the witness, Mr. Cottom has it.
I have not seen it, and I am not aware of that. And also an amended appeal constitutes a new appeal, and that would be untimely.
That's not what they told him.
Well, is there an amended appeal that there's a copy of?
Yes, Mr. Cottom, could you show that to us? Unmute yourself.
I don't think we're here to well, I guess if there's
again, I would object to that.
Mr. Chair, they have already agreed that the violations are correct. So I don't see what more we have in this matter. because they have already admitted that these violations are correct.
I'm going to ask that we adjourn to an executive session for a short while. Peruto, Ms. Curley, we've discussed this matter, and I guess I just want to confirm with Mr. Peruto and his client, who we could swear in, but at this point in time, what I understand to be the case, and we have attached to the appeal, and I think everyone's agreeing that the appeal before us today involves violation notice, a CF 2022-008-860. The date of the notice is February 18, 2022, and it lists, I believe, 4 code violations. The first one is the subcontractor list needs to be provided prior to the start of work on a commercial permit. That's the first violation. The second one is worker number 1 did not have an OSHA card. The second one is, and I'm sort of shortening these with omitting a few words. Worker number 2 did not have an OSHA card. And then 2 workers on the site stated to be employees of Cotton Construction, but apparently they didn't have OSHA cards either. And I've heard from Mr. Peruto in which he states that his client has acknowledged they didn't have the OSHA cards. We didn't hear any testimony with respect to, he did state that his client, Mr. Cotton and Cotton Construction, does have an OSHA card. We didn't hear any testimony with respect to the very first violation regarding the failure to submit a contractor list. Do you intend to provide testimony that was done, Mr. Peruto?
Yes, I do. The defendant did submit a contractor list.
Okay, well then in that case, Ms. Curley, I guess we need to proceed with the case.
That's fine. I just wanted to preserve for the record that that's not stated for the reason for that the appeal was granted. So I just wanted to make sure that was clear in the record.
All right, and one further item, there was mention made of an appended appeal being filed. And Mr. Wade, you're the administrator for the Board of License and Inspection Review.
Yes.
Can I ask you to raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Do you have any record of an amended appeal or further documentation being submitted with respect to the appeal that we're hearing presently, HA 2022-00131, 1900 John F. Kennedy Boulevard, Cotton Construction?
There's no amendment to this appeal, nor any additional appeals.
Or documentation? Or documentation. Very good. Thank you. Ms. Curley, you want to proceed?
Well, may I present my client on that issue, which he has the appeals?
We'll get to that when your client is called upon.
Okay.
Ms. Curley?
Yes, I'll be calling Supervising Inspector Jose Figueredo.
Mr. Figueredo, I believe you've been sworn.
Yes.
Supervisor, can you state your employer, please?
I work for the Audits and Investigations Unit for License and Investigations.
Okay, and we've already kind of gone over this in the previous hearing, but can you just describe for the board your experience at AIU?
It's not necessary. I'll stipulate.
Okay, thank you. And Inspector Figueredo, we'll just incorporate your testimony from the previous hearing about your time at AIU for approximately a year and your previous experience working as a other roles at the Department of License and Inspections for a number of years. Is that fair to say?
Sure.
Okay. Are you familiar with the property at 1900 John F. Kennedy Boulevard and the work done by Cotton Construction there?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You familiar with the licensing violation notice? It's CF 2022-008860.
Yes, I am.
Have you been able to review all department records on this matter?
Yes, I have.
Okay. I'm going to share my screen with permission from the board.
Yes, you have permission.
Supervisor, let me know when you can see it.
I can see it.
I'm going to scroll up.
Could you?
Yep,
zoom in
working
a
on
little
it. Okay.
Yeah.
And Supervisor, can you, do you recognize this document?
I do.
This is City Exhibit 1. Is this the notice of violation we're talking about?
Yes, that's a violation notice CF 2022-008860.
And I'm going to scroll down a little bit. This is the violation notice that issued dated February 18th, 2022 to Cottam Construction, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'm going to scroll down. For the first violation notice, you don't have to read it, but can you summarize for the board what this violation notice or what this violation is?
Sure. So on any commercial permit, it's the contractor is required to submit generally they upload the subcontractor information into their into Eclipse, into the permit within 3 business days of start of work.
Okay. Was that done in this instance?
It wasn't. The information was never actually uploaded into Eclipse. Later on, I believe as a result of the audit, the sublist was provided at a later February 15th.
Okay, so let's back up. Let's do an overview. What was AIU's inspection of 1900 John F. Kennedy? What happened?
There was, I believe, a service request was made regarding. I don't recall I'd have to check the details. And so, one of our inspectors went out to follow up on the service request and found 2 workers were on site doing framing work. When the inspector asked them who they worked for, they said that they worked for Cottam Construction.
I would object to that, you're saying.
Overruled.
And based on that investigation, was an audit of Cottam Construction conducted?
Yes.
Okay, and what did the audit? What did the audit entail?
So then follow up a request for subcontractor information. The on site, the inspector asks the workers if they have OSHA 10, which is standard procedure for when we do an inspection. Depending on a nature job, might ask if they have OSHA 30 if it's required.
Okay, so I'm just going to move down to the next 2 violations. That's the OSHA 10 cards we've talked about for the first and second worker. Is that correct?
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and I'm actually going to quickly scroll down to City Exhibit 5. This is the property we're talking about today. 1900 JFK Boulevard. Is that correct? Yeah, thank you. And moving on to City Exhibit 6, is this a photograph of the work that was discovered by AIU?
Yes, that's one of the photographs.
And what are we looking at in this kind of photograph? What what materials do you see?
So there's steel studs there. If you can picture like regular framing material, there's some wood framing on the side, but there's also steel studs.
So this work is all indicative of framing work?
Yes.
Okay. Moving down to City Exhibit, this is marked 3. You mentioned, you had referenced after that initial investigation, there was a request for more information from AIU. Is that correct?
Right. This would have been the sublist that was provided when after being requested for the sublist.
Okay. And so this is what we're looking at. City Exhibit 3, and I believe also 4 is what was submitted to AIU from Cottam Construction.
Correct.
Okay. And in terms on City Exhibit 3, what does it list for framing?
No subcontractor.
Okay. And does that align with the investigation that was conducted by AIU?
No. When the inspector was out on site, the 2 gentlemen that were there were doing framing work, and they said that they worked for Cottam Construction.
Okay. And you would agree that the picture taken also reflects framing work?
Yes.
Okay. And
May I just interject here? The defendant himself, Frank Cottam, does the framing work.
Well, you'll have an opportunity to testify or have him testify. So let us proceed, Ms. Curley.
All right.
And Supervisor, in terms of, and the second document also indicates that there is no subcontractor for framing.
Correct.
Was there any other indication of any other work being done at that time when AIU inspected?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay, and the workers who were, I think you may have already said this, but can you describe for the board, that first violation as to when a subcontractor needs to be provided on a permit? What does that violation entail?
So 3 days after work starts, within 3 days, the subcontractor information should be provided to the department. Typically, it's uploaded to the Eclipse system.
Okay, and has that been uploaded to the Eclipse system?
No, it was only provided when requested.
So as a result of the audit, is that correct? So that does not resolve the violation. That's just a
No.
response to the department.
No, it doesn't.
Okay. And strike, is it, what is one of the, strike that, the audit that was conducted that actually confirmed the violation, is that fair to say?
That's correct.
Okay. And the last violation is essentially for providing false information to the department, is that correct?
Correct.
Would you, I'm going to move to City Exhibit 2. Sorry, this is a letter that that the AIU received from from Cottam Construction.
Yes.
This indicates, go ahead.
I'm not sure if that was submitted to us or if that might have been just a letter that was submitted as part of license renewal.
Oh, I'm sorry. So not AIU, just the department as a whole.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that was just submitted to the department.
Okay. And it confirms that he has no employees.
Correct.
Okay. And when the workers at the site were indicated, was anyone other than those two individuals present?
No, just the two workers.
Okay. And they identified themselves as with Cottam Construction?
They did.
Objection, that's leading.
I'll strike that.
Objection, go ahead.
Okay.
Objection sustained.
Were AIU able to determine who they were affiliated with?
Yes, when the inspector asked them who they worked for, they
Objection unless he was the inspector. Because this
The
language
objection's
is very
overruled.
important.
The
This language
objection
is
is
very
overruled.
important.
Sorry, go ahead.
Proceed, Mr. Figueroa. could
Oh, I'm
you
sorry.
answer?
When the inspector was on site and asked the workers who they were employed by, they stated that they worked for Cottam Construction.
Did AIU subsequently receive any other identifying information for those two individuals?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. No OSHA 10s were ever submitted, nothing to confirm their identity or refute that they were employees.
No.
Okay. I don't believe I have anything further for the inspector. I would just ask for the admissions of City Exhibits 1 through 7. 7 is just a copy of the appeal.
I would object only because it contains hearsay.
My objections overruled. Will accept the documents as exhibits. Do you have any questions for Inspector Figueredo? I'm sorry.
He wasn't on the premises, so I can't cross-examine. No, thank you.
Okay. Very good. Ms. Curley, do you have any, members of the board, do you have any questions for this witness? No questions? Very good. Ms. Curley, do you have any other witnesses?
I do not.
Mr. Peruto?
Other than the proffer, my client was the one doing the framing and he did pull the permit.
I mean, I'm just going to object to any testimony from counsel. I just asked
Okay,
him to call.
no
his phone.
problem. I will call Mr. Cotter.
Go ahead, please. Mr. Cottam,
Yes,
could you raise your right hand, please? Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you are giving today is the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Would Mr. Peruto proceed and have your
Cotter, what is your
witness-
trained profession?
General contractor.
Okay, and specifically, what trade do you enjoy?
Let's just start at the very beginning. Mr. Cottam, would you state your name and spell it, please?
Yes, my name is Frank Cottam, spelling Cottom, last name.
Thank you. And what's your relationship to Cottam Construction?
The owner,
Is it an LLC?
it's incorporated, sir.
It's incorporated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Cottam, you saw the picture of the framing materials that they demonstrated?
Yes, I did.
Who was doing the framing on the building?
I was doing the framing. I had stepped out. I had to run to the dump some stuff. And then when I came back, I was told somebody showed up on the site.
Okay. Do you have an OSHA card?
I do, sir. A 30-hour OSHA card.
And was your work limited to that one unit?
Yes, sir.
Nothing further?
Ms. Curley? You-
Just briefly, what was the work the two individuals were performing that while you weren't there?
I'm not sure at the present time because I wasn't there. But I understand from the gentleman's testimony that they said they were employed by Cottam Construction, which was not true to words of what the gentleman said he heard and what was said. They are considered subcontractors with me. I have no employees. They're all subcontractors.
So they're your subcontractors, but you don't know what they were doing?
Well, it's not that I don't know what they're doing. I mean, I wasn't there at the time. I don't know what they were doing. There was a lot of work being done at the time. I don't know what they were doing at the present time when I wasn't there. No.
Okay, I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Just one question, Mr. Cottam, would it be fair to say that they are laborers and not skilled employees, skilled workers? Excuse me.
Yes.
Nothing further.
I'm sorry, would you repeat that question, please?
But how would you classify their profession?
They were there as a laborer / helpers.
Okay, nothing further.
Thank you. Any further witnesses, Mr. Peruto?
No, thank you.
Any questions from the board? Hearing no questions, Ms. Curley, do you have a closing statement?
Just very briefly, board.
Well, let me ask, excuse me, normally we have the appellant provide the closing statement and then the city. Mr. Peruto, do you have a closing statement?
Yes, it says that the subcontractors must be listed within 3 days of work to begin. There's no testimony on the record of when that 3 days starts, and no testimony of when the work began. Next, the defendant does have an OSHA card that's not disputed, and his testimony is clear that he was doing the framing in that unit, and they're subcontractors / laborers that I don't believe have to have OSHA cards. They're just there for labor. And if I'm wrong about that, then I'm wrong about it, but they're not employees. Now, do they do subcontracting for Mr. Cottam? Yes, they do. That would be conceded.
Is that your argument?
Yes, it is.
Thank you. Ms. Curley?
Just very briefly, I do believe that the evidence established all 4 violations that the city has cited in licensing violation, the reference licensing notice. 2 of them have been, undisputed, essentially that the subcontractors did not have OSHA 10 cards, so I won't belabor that. The testimony was that the subcontractors were never provided ever on the commercial permit to Eclipse. Providing them to AIU, as the testimony was very clear, is separate and apart from that violation. The purpose of the audit is only to is in part to confirm the violation. And lastly, I think the testimony, both from the appellant and from our inspector, that framing work was clearly being done, and it was not included on the department's. It was not included on the appellate's subcontractor list as indicating that he was doing that. And I think that supports the last violation. Additionally, their indication that they were employees and essentially no refute was ever provided to the department also supports that as well. So for all of those reasons, we would ask for a city affirm. Thank you.
All right, I'll call the board. I will vote first. City affirmed.
City affirmed.
City affirm.
City affirm.
City affirmed.
Thank you. The vote of the board is unanimous that the city's position is affirmed. You obviously have the right to appeal this decision, and the procedures are set forth in the with the board. Thank you very much. I believe there are no more cases. Mr. Wade.
That concludes the list. That concludes today's list.
Very good. Is there anyone else who, I see a lot of names. Does anyone else have any comments to make? If not,
There's someone waving at you. Well, they just
yes,
say it.
yes. Let us hear from, yes, ma'am.
How about Avenue Vidarto? Did you read it already, or I missed the information? I missed hearing.
I believe your case was moot complied.
Move comply.
What's your, the address, ma'am? The address?
Actually, I doesn't know what violation I get.
What is the address of the property that you are here to talk about?
No idea too. I don't know.
Mr. Wade, do you have any idea?
No, I don't see any. Case number 8. WIDARTOFNU. That was
Yes.
that was read in the beginning. That was moot complied.
Move comply.
Yes, the violation no longer exists.
Oh, so I am good.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Mhm, thank you.
Board, do we need, Mr. Kelly? I think we're done.
Can I
for
pause the
today.
recording?
I'm sorry?
Yes.
Stop the recording.
We-
We're good.
We are done. I don't